Welcome to the online classes of anatomy. I am Dr. A.K. Gupta, Assistant Professor, Department of Anatomy, Government Medical College, Bettiya. Today I will talk to you about pharynx. Pharynx is a 12 centimeter long fibromuscular tube extending between base of the skull up to the cricoid lower border of the cricoid cartilage. That means 6 cervical vertebra. Anteriorly, it opens into the nasal cavity, oral cavity, and larynx. So, it can be divided into nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. Nasopharynx is widest and into which opens eustachian tube, which connects the nasopharynx with the middle ear. Oropharynx is narrower and extends up to the palatoglossal arch. So, the palatine tonsil is also content of the oropharynx. The laryngopharynx is the narrowest part, and it is the narrowest part of the gastrointestinal tract except vermiform appendix. So, any foreign material may lodge over here. The pharynx has 3 coats: mucus coat, muscle coat, and fibrous coat. Mucus coat having lining epithelium. In the nasopharynx, it is lined by pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium, whereas in other parts it is lined by stratified squamous epithelium, non-keratinized. But some part of the epiglottis and vocal cord is keratinized. Inside the mucous membrane, there is a lamina propria. Then there is a fibrous layer that is known as pharyngobasilar fossa. Pharyngobasilar fossa, which is thick in upper part but becomes thinner and thinner and disappears below the superior constrictor muscle. In the upper part, this is the only wall of the pharynx, because here the superior constrictor is not present. Then comes the muscle coat. Muscle coat is arranged in 2 groups: circularly arranged muscles such as the superior, middle, and inferior constrictor muscles, and vertically arranged muscles such as the stylopharyngeus muscle, salpingopharyngeus muscle, palatopharyngeus muscles. The superior constrictor muscle arising from the pterygoid humulus anteriorly, pterygomandibular raphe, the posterior border of the mylohyoid line of the mandible, and lateral part of the tongue. Posterior part, lateral part of the tongue. And passage backwards and laterally, then turns medially and backwards to be attached to its fellow muscles in the median raphe. So, this is the superior constrictor. Posteriorly, it widens and inferior part is overlapped by the middle constrictor. This is overlapped by the middle constrictor, such as a cup placed on a cup manner. The middle constrictor arising from the stylohyoid ligament, lesser cornu of the hyoid, greater cornu of the hyoid, then it widens posteriorly and inserted into the median raphe to attach with its fellow. The inferior constrictor having two parts, thyropharyngeus and cricopharyngeus. The thyropharyngeus part arising from the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage and a band joining the inferior tubercle with the inferior cornu of the thyroid cartilage. It also widens posteriorly and to be attached with its fellow in the median raphe. Whereas the cricopharyngeus arising from the lateral surface of the lamina of the cricoid cartilage behind the origin of the cricothyroid muscle. It also passes backwards, but it does not overlap the thyropharyngeus part of the inferior constrictor muscle. So there is a gap which is not covered by the inferior constrictor cricopharyngeus part. This is known as Killian's dehiscence. The function of these muscles are to contract during deglutition, and this cricopharyngeus muscle acts as an sphincter. This muscle is innervated by the superior thyroid nerve, external laryngeal, and this is by the recurrent laryngeal nerve. If there is incoordination, so this contracts, but the food cannot pass downwards, causing pressure over here, forming a diverticula in the pharynx. This Killian dehiscence. The vertically placed group muscles are the stylopharyngeus, arising from the medial surface of styloid process of the temporal bone, passing over the superior constrictor, then enters between the superior constrictor and middle constrictor into the pharynx, along with the ninth cranial nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve. Whereas the salpingopharyngeus muscle, this is the salpingopharyngeus, arising from the cartilaginous part of the Eustachian tube, passes downwards deeper to the constrictor muscles to be attached over the posterior margin of the lamina of the thyroid cartilage. The palatopharyngeus arising from the palate palate, actually this is depicted over here, but it comes over from here and passes downwards to be inserted over the posterior border of the lamina of the thyroid cartilage. But some fibers also passes posteriorly to be attached with its fellow, so forming a Passavant's ridge. The function of the constrictor muscles are to compress during the deglutition, whereas the stylopharyngeus elevates and widens the pharynx and elevates the larynx, whereas the salpingopharyngeus and palatopharyngeus elevates the thyroid during deglutition, and the palatopharyngeus also approximates the palatopharyngeal arch so as to block this passage. The nerve supply of these muscles are the vagoaccessory, except stylopharyngeus, which is supplied by the ninth cranial nerve. Apart from this, the thyropharyngeus part is innervated by the external laryngeal nerve branch of the vagus, whereas the cricopharyngeus innervated by the recurrent laryngeal nerve branch of the vagus. The tonsil. At the junction of the nasopharynx and oropharynx, the nasopharynx carrying the air, whereas the oropharynx carry the air as well as food. So this part is at risk. So there is multiple lymphoid tissues around the junction of nasopharynx and oropharynx, such as here lies the lingual tonsil. In the posterior part, the pharyngeal tonsil or adenoids. Here lies the palatine tonsil. Here around lies the tubal tonsil, forming a Bouldier's ring. The palatine tonsil is a almond-shaped lymphoid tissue, lies between the glossopharyngeal arch anteriorly and the palatopharyngeal arch behind. Superiorly, the soft palate, inferiorly, the tongue. It is covered by capsule, except in its medial surface, which is lined by stratified squamous epithelium and has 15 to 20 crypts, which may contain salivary corpuscles, which are the lymphocytes or the desquamated epithelium. Inside this lies the aggregation of lymphocytes, that is lymphatic nodule, which may have germinal centers, but there is no cortex or medulla. This may have some mucus acini also. The arterial supply of the tonsil is from maxillary, that is the palatine branch of the maxillary artery, then the tonsillar branch of ascending pharyngeal artery, tonsillar branch of the ascending palatine branch of the facial artery, then tonsillar branch of the facial artery, and dorsal lingual branch of the lingual artery. So these are the artery which supplies the tonsil as well as most part of the pharynx. The venous drainage is, this forms a paratonsillar vein which drains into the pharyngeal plexus of veins or the palatine vein or the facial vein. It has, the pharynx has a sensory supply from the glossopharyngeal nerve except nasopharynx, which is supplied by the maxillary nerve branch of the trigeminal nerve. The muscle nerve supply I have told you. So in the laryngopharynx, this is the inlet of the larynx, there is a fossa that is known as piriform fossa, which is much more vulnerable for the malignancy, also known as smuggler's fossa. Here is the cricoid cartilage. So this is about the pharynx. Applied anatomy. The tonsil may be infected, causing tonsillitis. In some cases, it can be removed, called tonsillectomy. There may be formation of peritonsillar abscess which should be drained. In some cases, adenoid lymph nodes, that is the pharyngeal lymph nodes, may enlarge in children, obstructing the nasopharynx. So, child is unable to take respiration through the nose and takes air through the mouth. So, there will be developmental deformity in the face, that is known as adenoid facies. Sometimes this is blocked by enlargement of the lymph nodes, Eustachian tube, peritubal tonsil, which causes infection of the middle ear. So this is all about the pharynx. Thank you.